There are moments in life when everything looks perfect on the outside, but something is quietly falling apart behind the scenes. Dawon didn't see it coming. Not when he fell in love. Not when he got married. Not even when he signed the papers that would change his life forever. By the time he realized the truth, it was already too late. If you enjoy powerful stories like this, make sure you like this video and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Now let's begin. Dawon wasn't born rich. Growing up in South Korea, he learned early that life only rewarded people who worked harder than everyone else. By his early 30s, he had built something impressive, a growing import business connecting Korean manufacturers to American buyers. It wasn't a billion-dollar company, but it was stable, profitable, and most importantly, it was his. Then one evening in Los Angeles, everything changed. That's when he met Pearline. She walked into a networking event wearing a red dress that seemed to turn every head in the room. Confident, charismatic, and when she spoke to Dawon, she spoke like she already understood him. "You're different," she told him with a warm smile. Dawon laughed. "Different how?" Pearline leaned closer. "Most men here are trying to look rich. You're actually building something." For the first time in a long time, Dawon felt truly seen. Their relationship moved quickly. Dinner turned into late-night conversations. Late-night conversations turned into long walks through the city. And one evening, standing on a quiet balcony overlooking downtown lights, Pearline rested her head against his shoulder. "You work too much," she whispered. Dawon smiled. "I'm building a future." Pearline looked up at him softly. "Then build it with me." That night, they kissed. Slow, warm, full of promise. Nothing explicit. Just the kind of moment that makes a man believe he's finally found the right person. Within a year, they were married. Friends told Dawon he was lucky, and he believed it. But sometimes, the most dangerous lies are the ones that feel like love. After the wedding, Pearline began getting more involved in Dawon's business decisions. At first, it seemed helpful. She talked about expansion, about scaling the company, about turning his modest business into something massive. "You're thinking too small," she told him. Dawon hesitated. "I prefer steady growth." Pearline smiled confidently. "That's why you have me." She encouraged bigger investments, bigger loans, bigger risks. And every time Dawon hesitated, she reassured him, "Trust me, I believe in you." Slowly, the loans grew, the risks grew, and the financial pressure began to build. But Dawon ignored the warning signs, because the person encouraging these decisions was his wife, the woman who claimed to love him. One morning, Dawon woke up earlier than usual. The house was strangely quiet. Pearline wasn't in bed. He assumed she had gone out for coffee. But when he walked downstairs, something felt wrong. Her suitcase was gone. Her laptop was gone. Her clothes were gone. Then his phone rang. It was the bank. "Mr. Dawon, we need to discuss your outstanding loans." His stomach tightened. "What loans?" There was silence. Then the manager said something that made his world collapse. Multiple loans totaling over $3 million. Dawon froze. That wasn't possible. Until he checked the business accounts. They were empty, completely drained. And Pearline had disappeared. Within months, everything Dawon built was gone. The bank seized his company. His house was repossessed. Debt collectors called constantly. Friends stopped answering his messages. And the man who once ran a successful company was now living in a small rented room. For the first time in years, Dawon felt completely defeated. One night, sitting alone in a cheap diner, he stared at the rain falling outside and asked himself a question that haunted him. How could someone who said they loved me destroy me like this? But life wasn't finished with Dawon yet. Because sometimes, the worst moment in your life is only the beginning of something greater. One afternoon, Dawon was walking down a busy street when someone suddenly called his name. "Dawon." He turned. Standing there was a man he hadn't seen in nearly 10 years. Chris, an old friend from his early business days. Chris looked surprised. "Man, what happened to you?" Dawon laughed bitterly. "That obvious?" They sat down at a nearby cafe, and Dawon told him everything. The marriage, the loans, the betrayal. Chris listened quietly, then leaned back. "You know something?" he said. "What?" "You're still the same guy who built a company from nothing." Dawon shook his head. "That man is gone." Chris smiled. "No, he's just starting over." Then Chris said something Dawon never expected. "I want you to partner with me." Chris had built a fast-growing logistics company, but he needed someone he trusted to expand international operations. Someone who understood global trade. Someone exactly like Dawon. You handle the expansion, Chris said. We build it together. Dawon hesitated. What if I fail again? Chris shrugged. Then we fail together. For the first time in years, Dawon felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. And this time, he had learned from his mistakes. 3 years later, the company exploded in growth. New contracts, new offices, international partnerships. Dawon was no longer struggling. He was thriving, stronger, smarter, and far wealthier than before. But while Dawon's life was rising again, someone else's was collapsing. Pearline thought she had won. When she ran away, she had millions, luxury trips, expensive parties. But the man she trusted convinced her to invest in a guaranteed opportunity. A crypto investment, a foreign trading scheme. It sounded perfect, until one day, everything vanished. The accounts, the money, the investors, gone. Pearline had been scammed. And suddenly, the woman who destroyed Dawon's life had nothing. One day she saw something shocking. A business magazine. On the cover was Dawon. Successful, confident, thriving. The man she thought she had destroyed. Pearline tried contacting him, apologizing, begging. But Dawon replied with a simple message. Thank you for leaving. Because losing you forced me to become the man I was meant to be. Sometimes, the people who betray you are the same people who unknowingly push you toward your greatest success. If this story moved you, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below. Do you believe in karma? And remember, sometimes losing everything is the only way to find your real life.